Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Downlink. Tonight, we're going to do like we always do. We are going to ask the tough questions, provoke thought, and free minds. Welcome to the Downlink. Tonight on the Downlink show, we have Tony Wilson joining us again. Tony, what's going on?
Grand and glorious day. It's been a great week for me. Great week for me.
Yeah. Coming off of this Christmas day yesterday, and we got an interesting topic. Brother Harold, what's going on?
What's going on?
Brother Harold is in the building tonight, guys. You know, we're talking about flat Earth, and flat Earth. We're not going to really get too much against versus the round Earth or spherical Earth. We're going to focus on flat Earth. And we know that we have one flat Earth person tonight with us, Tony Wilson. And this guy is a flat Earth theorist, as I like to call him, a flat earther. I don't know what name. You guys go by a lot of different names, man. But the bottom line is that you believe that the Earth is flat. So tonight we're going to get into why you believe that and ask some questions. And because a lot of people don't know what's this whole flat Earth thing about, but it's making some headway around the world. And so we're going to talk about it tonight. First of all, I want to know, how did you become a flat earther? Or what brought you to this understanding?
Well, I like the words you used at the beginning, a theorist, flat Earth theorist, because it actually all got started with Easter, the 3 days and 3 nights, Good Friday, when I was a very small child, and I understood math. 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, so how do you get 3 days and 3 nights out of Good Friday? It just didn't work for me because, and I won't go into all the details and the technical background behind it, but when you figure it from Good Friday, it doesn't work out mathematically. The scriptures are very specific about giving very specific information. 3 days, 3 nights is 3 days and 3 nights. However, I will throw you this little nugget. If the crucifixion, and as I said, and this is the theorist part, there's actual proof behind it, but if you count from Wednesday night, sundown, it works out perfectly. 3 days, 3 nights, rising on the first day, which is Sunday. So this is how I became a theorist. So how did I become a flat Earth versus round earther? Well, hey, it's real easy. All you have to do is look at what each side presents, and one is more accurate than the other based on the scriptures. Again, 3 days, 3 nights. There are certain things that have been placed in the scriptures that indicate where we are, whether we're round and moving through the universe or whether we're flat and stationary.
Okay. So you believe, let me go back. You believe that the Earth is flat, not round. And so I understand that you're getting a lot of your understanding from the scriptures, and that's A-okay with me. I have no problem with that. But for those out there who don't believe in God, and they're more looking for more scientific evidence, would you have some type of scientific based information on why you believe the Earth is flat?
Scientific, yes. And one of the things is, like I said, 2 + 2 = 4. You don't get 3 days starting from Friday to Sunday morning. It's just simple basic math. And the scientific information, they have been giving us conjecture, and in my opinion, they're deliberately misleading us. And the reason why the scientific community has not been as accurate as the ancients and the scriptures is because they're just making this stuff up as they go along. Something very simple. The round earthers say, hey, we're on a ball. The ball is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and we've got water and atmosphere clinging, adhering to this ball. Well, I want to take the water part of it. Scientifically speaking, water seeks its own level. And if there is a slight incline, that water will run to its lowest level off, and then either fill up to its highest point or it'll just keep running. And based on the globe model, the Earth has a particular curvature. We won't go into all of that. You can look it up. The thing of it is that how is the Earth spinning and the water not running down around the sides and off the face of the globe Earth? So my scientific that you can prove yourself, and that's the approach to science is that you can repeat an experiment as many times as you want, and you should come up with the same conclusion, plus or minus a degree here or there.
But what do you think about the rotating stars argument? So if you lay down on your back and you looked up at the sky, you see this, you almost see the stars going in a circle and going around and around. Now, this is what some round or spherical earthers use as evidence, as that if it was flat, it wouldn't rotate in that kind of way.
Well, we're looking at what is, if from my research and understanding, we're looking at the wrong thing rotating. We're assuming that Copernicus, back in the 13th, 14th century, had equipment fine-tuned enough that they could actually look at and track the rotation of this spinning globe. When in actuality, if we look at the Earth as being flat, looking directly at the North Star, Polaris, what we see is that all the stars rotating around this one particular point. And if it's rotating around this one particular point, the stars are moving, not the Earth.
Wow, that's interesting. So I have just a question for thought here, because we know that we can look through telescopes and see other planets, and those planets are in a sphere shape. So how do we explain that opposed to the Earth being the theory that the Earth is flat?
Well, what would stop them from being spherical? There's absolutely no reason why they couldn't be spherical. They could be a globe. However, I submit this to you. If you look at the full moon, you don't see a globe. You see a flat surface. The same with the sun. If you can look at it, it's just flat. And I have looked for the curvature because the pattern of Earth should mimic the pattern of everything else that's out there.
Okay.
Here's another interesting thought. All the other planets have Greek, Roman names, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, and so forth. Earth is the only one that doesn't have a Roman or Greek name. It's designated Earth. Now, why is that? I mean, just out of curiosity. And my theory on that is that those civilizations decided that they were going to create an origin story for the planets and the constellations.
Interesting.
Okay. You know what? That's the first time I think I've heard that put that way. When you said you look at the moon, you look at the different planets, and what you see is a flat shape instead of seeing something curvature. That's pretty interesting. So, what about this? Because we're here to drill you tonight, man. That's what we're here for.
Hey, dude, I'm sure what I've learned. I don't own a starship. I don't have access to a starship. So consequently, I can't go up and say, hey, yeah, check this out. Hey, look at like that, you know.
Well, we're here to pick your brain,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's what we're doing, and we'll give you your grade when this is all over. Okay, we'll let you know. But but seriously, when you look at the way that the light reflects off the moon, many again going back to people who do believe that the Earth is spherical
Hmm.
or round, they see the shadow of this light reflection, moving on the moon as the moon, as we're rotating with the moon, right? And so as the
Okay.
moon is rotating, you can see it's almost like if you put a ball in your hand and you put a flashlight in the other and you rotate that flashlight around that ball, you'll see that curvature of that light or that shadow of that light move in the way that the light is moving. How would you describe or how would you explain that?
How I would explain it, I have pondered that myself, and I have not come to a firm conclusion as to how that is. I will simply say this, that because I subscribe to the flat earth theory, there are things moving in the firmament that we are not aware of. We can't see with the human eye or human intelligence, or our technology is not able to pick it up. However, we do know that there are celestial beings known as angels that are out there that have visited the earth, and there's even ancient texts referring to the stars, twinkle, twinkle stars, are actually celestial beings. The book of Enoch speaks of it, how certain angelic, uh, um, what will be a good word for it? Certain angelic beings make sure that they stay on their course. So the sun, the moon, and the stars may not be what we have been told they are. A chunk of ice, this kind of gas, and so forth and so on. There may be just celestial beings assuming a form that we can comprehend.
Okay, okay. We have
Wow.
Tony Wilson joining us tonight on the Downlink Show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Tony. Tony's part of our he's part of our team. He'll come in, you'll see him pop his face in every now and then, and just and really blow our minds with some information. But he has his own podcast. We don't have to get into that quite right now, but he has his own podcast, The Supernatural and Beyond, and he's joining us tonight. And so, Tony, thank you for joining us. We got Brother Harold on tonight, of course. And so, Brother Harold, do you have a question?
Yeah, I got a quick question. Do you believe that NASA was founded in order to keep this flat Earth theory under wraps?
Yes. The short answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay. Because if we go into a long dissertation, that's a rabbit hole that we'll be in forever and ever and ever.
Okay.
Jack Parsons was one of the founding members of NASA. He also happens to be an occultist connected with Aleister Crowley,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these ideas have been around since before the building of the pyramids.
Okay.
So consequently, the occultists, what I like to call the Luciferian agenda,
Mm-hmm.
has the purpose to mislead, deceive, and misdirect us as to what the truth is. If, like in the Garden of Eden, what did the shining one, the Nakash, or what we call the serpent, say? He said to Eve, did God say, Yahweh God Elohim?
Mm-hmm.
And so consequently, she looked in herself and said, hey, yeah, well, wait a minute. Let me re-examine this whole thing. And she basically believed the misdirection or the deception that God would lie to her. So fast forward to today, the scriptures give ample clues, like I was saying with the 3 days and the 3 nights, that's very specific clues and indicators what the creator's intent was or is.
Okay, so a lot of people out there, like I mentioned earlier, they don't believe in God. They don't believe in the Bible. I'm one of those guys that does believe that in the Most High. Obviously, I'm a pastor, but and I really can't see how you can have this discussion without talking about a design. And so when we talk about the design of things, we have to talk about who designed it.
Right.
And so there's no way around going around the Most High. But I know a lot of scientists like to do that. A lot of atheists, people that don't believe in God, and I keep those people in mind too. And so in that frame of thought, Brother Tony, let's talk about if you could draw a picture of what the Earth would look like. Give us an example. Would it be like a pancake, or give us an example of what the Earth would look like if you were able to, if you could draw it right now on a piece of paper?
Okay, I can draw what I have seen, and there's been exploration to the Antarctic. There's a 200-foot wall of ice that you can literally sail around all of the continental land masses,
Wow.
and it's there. The compass will always point north,
Mhm.
but you can sail around it. And one of the things that, getting back to the God part of it, if, well, best example for me, I was at a social gathering. I was engaged in this conversation with this lady, and we were talking about everything under the sun, the local events, and so forth. And then she was saying, like I said something, like, thank you, Jesus, because from time to time I'll see that, just out of the clear. And she says, oh, well, I don't believe in God in the Bible. And I'm like, really? Why not? And she gave me her reason, which was kind of like, what? What are you talking about here? And so she asked me, well, why do you believe? And we just happened to be outside. And I said, well, take a look up, the sun, the moon, and the stars. How did they get there? And of course, that conversation went silent right after that because man cannot create something that magnificent with that degree of precision.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you were to draw a picture, and going back to the
Back to
picture,
the picture. Sorry.
would it look like a half-shaped baseball or orange, or what would it look like?
What would it look like? It would be flat with the firmament. And for those of you familiar with the firmament is a solid structure that is over all the face of the earth. So consequently, when the scriptures say we will divide the waters from the waters below, the waters above, and there's a firmament keeping the waters from crashing down on the waters below. So it'd be a round circle with a dome over it.
Well, so what on. I think that again, that's one of those. Again, I think that is a little bit unique in the group, but the group of people that do believe that the Earth is flat, like I said, a lot of them have their own spin, have their own perception on how they see it, but they do believe that it is an older Earth. I'm looking at my questions here. What do you think happens to people when they reach the edge of the Earth? What do you think happens? Do they fall off into to space, or to a land unknown, or a big bowl of soup, or what happens when they get to the?
Okay, as the earth is now, as I understand it, like I talked about earlier, there's a 200-foot ice wall that surrounds the
Okay,
continental
you did mention it.
bodies.
Mhm.
Okay, So consequently, we go that far. Now, Admiral Byrd sent a flight over that 200-foot ice wall.
Mm-hmm.
And what he saw was like, hey, there's more land out here than we realized. We're
Really?
really, yes. Of course, I've seen actual pictures that Admiral Byrd took, and I'm looking at it, it's like, whoa. It looks like all of the ancient drawings and visual representations of the earth, where it being flat, all the continents are laid out within that ice circle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa.
Hmm.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. Um,
Wow.
so let's talk about the moon and a little bit more of the moon and the different planets out there in our solar system. Do you believe that do you believe that we ever went to the moon? There's there's a huge uh, system that is in place called K through 12 that teaches that we went to the moon at one point back in the 60s. Do you believe that we went to the moon?
Short answer, no. I don't believe we went to the moon. We don't have the technology today to go to the moon. I don't believe it's physically possible to land on the moon. And here we go with our own two eyes. They say they landed a lunar module on the moon. How come nobody's ever taken a picture of it through a telescope?
Right. I always thought it was kind of weird, man, when you see the rocket taking off,
Mm-hmm.
the ship taking back off from the moon, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, who's taking that footage? I mean, how come you know, did they leave a cameraman on the moon? And I heard somebody else say that on YouTube. I can't forget. I can't think
Well,
of it.
supposedly they got
But
satellites out there that's catching all
no,
that
we're talking about
footage.
before the satellite.
Oh,
We're talking about when they
got you.
actually landed. And
Got
then,
you.
and then you got Buzz, who's one of the Armstrong. You had Armstrong, you had Buzz. I'm saying his first name, but
Uh-huh.
he was asked a question by a young boy. Asked him a question, and the kid asked him, "Why haven't we went back to the moon?" And his answer was really kind of like, for me, it was like, that's a watered down answer, and it was
Mhm.
very suspicious. Kind of like, do we even go there? So I'm kind of I'm kind of a little bit up in the air on that one as well. But moving on, hey, brother Harold, did you have any other questions for brother
Yeah,
Tony?
I got a quick one. So, um, since you were talking about this 200-foot ice wall, is global warming, when they talk about global warming, does that have anything to do with this ice wall maybe melting?
No,
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Mankind cannot affect what the Creator has set into motion. Again, the sun, the moon, and the stars, they're up there. How did they get there? No man can do it. We've got bricks we have stones that have been quarried on Earth at a place called Baalbek, where
Mm-hmm.
they cannot move these things with modern technology. And so I go back to what I said earlier about Copernicus. He has a simple telescope and he's able to see out into the furthest reaches without a biblical understanding, not knowing the creator. It seems a little far fetched to me, but okay, he came up with an idea, but it's an idea. He didn't have a starship, so how is he going to tell me what's up?
If you can give us a brief, very brief, it doesn't have to be very long because I know you can go on and on with this type of thing. But if you could just answer this, what advantage would there be to to make people believe that the earth was round?
Very glad you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to go back into antiquity.
Mm-hmm.
When Rome had fallen, there was a power vacuum. And so the church came in to fill that void, to give them all the inspiration. They were saying, from the scriptures, we can guide you and direct you. In addition, they were exploiting the people because everybody wanted to go to heaven, nobody wanted to go to hell. So they were exploiting the people. So the Catholicism, the papacy, became a political world power. So consequently, they wanted to maintain and control the narrative, just like they're doing today. They want to maintain the control and the narrative. You had mentioned the fact that there's global warming. It's humans are not going to be able to affect the entire surface of the earth with their few little cars. You know, only the major industrial um, entities could do it, and not everybody is first world. There are a lot of second and third world people. You just can't affect the earth with our meager efforts. I mean, we can mess up sections of town, but we can't mess up the whole earth.
Okay. All right. So for our Bible lovers out there, people that are believers, does the Bible? One last question. This is the last question. Does the Bible have any? Does it have anything to say about a flat Earth that you know about?
Funny you should mention that. Here we go. Job 34:4. And this is when the creator is speaking to Job. Job's been complaining and whining. And so finally the creator shows up and he says, okay, dude, you're a pretty sharp cookie. Answer me this. Riddle me this, Batman. Um, where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Now, that word foundation has been translated and mistranslated and so forth and so on. But the intent is like a building. A building has a foundation. It's not intended for that building to move. If you go to 12345 Main Street, you can go there, 7 days a week. It'll still be there because it's not intending to move. Now, with a plane, a train, an automobile, or a person, it can move at random at any time. So the creator has a fixed position. There's one more that I wanted to, in Psalms
Okay.
104, verse 5. He set the earth on, like a building, on its foundation, never to be moved. And I'm like, well, that's pretty specific.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's not arbitrary. Oh, it might move tomorrow. It might, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't be moved. So if this statement is correct, then what's moving? The earth or the things in the firmament?
Very good.
That's deep, brother.
Tony Wilson joining us tonight on Downlink, and man, it's been a really, really good couple of couple of really mind blowing points you made here. Things that you can go back and do research on. Now, if somebody wanted to find out more information on flat Earth, where would be a good place to start if they wanted more information or just wanted to look into this kind of thing?
Google it. I mean,
That's right.
Yeah, it's just that simple. Because
back in the days, man, when you would say Google, we're talking, when I say back in the day, I'm talking about 5 years ago. Okay. Back in the days, about 5 years ago, when you would say Google it, the people looking at you like, what are you talking about Google it? I mean, we don't look at Google as a credible resource for information, but it has become that, and I don't think anybody would argue that. So you said Google it. There's plenty of information out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go flat Earth versus round Earth, Flat Earth Society. There's even a Christian flat Earth website out there. And once again, all you have to do is Google it. There's a lot of good information out there, and there's a lot of bogus information. I go back once again to the 3 days and the 3 nights. What are the specifics? Pick a point and then do your research from there. And if you find something that goes contrary to what you personally believe at this point, don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to say, hey, well, wait a minute, I didn't put this into the equation. Hey, wait a minute, that changes things, so I need to change my perspective. Don't be afraid of that. It doesn't lessen you in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Downlink. You can always check out Tony Wilson on the Supernatural and Beyond, and he's talking about all kind of topics of this type of nature. So, Tony, thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Brother Harold, always. So, again, guys, when you come to Downlink, you are coming to a channel where we are asking the tough questions, provoking the thought, and we are hoping to free minds. Continue to join us. Make sure you click on the like button, comment below, support this channel. This channel is about bringing truth. And again, thank you for checking out the Downlink. Till next time.